Shalom, brothers and sisters. So, in the last 24 to 48 hours, things that I haven't specifically dug into, there's a lot, and there's a reason I haven't, but let's just touch on a few of them here. There's a persistent threat of nuclear crisis the whole time, all over the world. China, India, Pakistan are a specific concern for everybody at this stage. North Korea is a huge concern. Russia, America, and any other respondents in the European Union. Israel, that's sitting on a nuclear stockpile they're not talking about, that have the ability to use it if they need to protect themselves. And nuclear threats being thrown around liberally. I mean, Russia just the other day, again, in this week, again posting the video of the radioactive tsunami that'll be caused by the nuclear warhead that'll wipe out the UK and turn it into a radioactive wasteland. So there's that. They've also released videos saying how pathetic the tanks are that are being sent to Ukraine and that it is an act of war from NATO against Russia. So this levels it up to the next point. Putin, for example, yesterday went and commemorated Battle of Stalingrad in Russia and said, "Can you believe we are once again facing German tanks?" Now that's just pulling on the heartstrings of all of his people, and it's true. And he also points out that it's a very different situation this time, and those tanks are pathetically useless against what he's got. But still, the fact that we're full circle and Russia's once again facing German tanks, that is interesting. It's wow. Then the whole egg story and chicken story. So again, chicken farms have been burnt down and destroyed and wiped out. And you got to ask yourself, why are chickens a target? Is it just to drive up the prices? Is it to push the famine thing? What's going on? Now, multiple studies have proven that egg yolk antibodies are identified to block the binding of multiple SARS-CoV-2 spike protein variants. So then it makes sense. Get rid of the eggs. Get rid of the chickens. Anything that stands in the path of what the people have planned must go. So that's interesting and developing, and you'll see more and more of it happening in the days ahead. So keep an eye on that. Maybe go make yourself an omelette. Ukraine's ambassador to Bulgaria, on her Telegram channel, talks about the voodoo doll she made with Putin's face on, and when she needs to, she pokes needles in it. Now, 5 years ago, everyone would have laughed and said, "Oh, she's so superstitious, what a load of rubbish." Now people are, "Oh, cool, that's a great idea." There's actually a Putin voodoo doll seeking donations on Kickstarter that people are supporting. Because that's cool. Magic, voodoo, the whole world's twist and drive back to the old gods, the ancient pagan practices, the statues, the arches of Baal, all these things coming back as the devil and his kingdom is getting into place. All that evil that God so hates coming back. And that's why an ambassador to another country, you'd think there should be a level of professionalism and intelligence, is pushing the fact that it's totally normal to have a voodoo doll that you brag about that you stab with needles. What? How's no one seeing the darkness on this place at the moment? So yeah, a global return to the old ways of evil and disaster, and that is all set for the judgment of God that's coming once again, for doing the same thing that they did in the past with the same result, but this time it's going to be the worst as God wraps up and cleans everything up for the last time. But you'll see a complete, intense push on sacrifices, ceremonies, old gods, pagan symbols, all of it's making its way back into mainstream acceptance. Then America, sure, Russian ships, American waters, Iranian ships in American waters, battleships, they're there for a peaceful tour, I'm sure they are. Chinese ships off American coasts. That, now, if I remove myself from the whole situation and just look at the fact that there's Russian ships, Iranian ships, and Chinese ships in all my territorial waters, I would automatically come to the point in my brain of, we are possibly going to come under attack, and we should focus our military, our aircraft carrier groups and things at home to look after us, because something doesn't add up here. You can't just believe that Iranian battleships are here for peace, just cruising through on their world tour. No, they're on their way to you in America for a reason. Who are they allied with? China and Russia. Oops, China's got ships off your coast. Russia's got ships coming into your coast. The Belgorod submarine, missing. I am pretty much willing to bargain on the fact that it's off your coast. But nothing. Biden's just wondering which way to turn when he leaves the podium. And his handlers are clapping hands because everything's going according to plan. It's absolutely insane how things are going at the moment. It's like a bad movie script. But Saudi Arabia is in talks with Israel about normalization and possibly getting on board with the Abraham Accords. That is a big one, and it's happening soon. And that's on top of other countries that are considering the Abraham Accords. Remember, the Antichrist strengthens an agreement with many, which means an existing agreement. And I'm convinced more and more every day as I see these people signing on and wanting to sign on, that the Abraham Accords is going to be a large part of that agreement, tied in with climate accords, Agenda 2030, all this other rubbish that they're putting in will all get tied in with this, and that agreement will be strengthened after we're gone. Then people asked me, the fig tree, how does that tie into the fig tree generation, especially the 2030 timeline that I explained and gave all my research for? Aren't we overreaching or going past that now? So Matthew 24:34 and Luke 21:32. I just want to bring you back to this. Assuredly, I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all things take place, right? So we're working on that. And then everyone jumps to Psalm 90 verse 10. The days of a man's life will be 70 years, and if by strength 80. So we work out the 80, we find out the 2030. In May 2030, Israel will be reaching their 82nd birthday. So 2 years over that time frame we're looking at. And then they go, yeah, but then the fig tree generation's out. It's not out, people. There's too many clear references in the Bible by God. How can a nation be born in a single day? Has anyone ever heard of this? That's Israel, May 14, 1948. Born in a single day. That's when I start counting. So yes, that's when it started. That's when he says, start watching. This generation will see all these things come to pass. Now there's two ways of looking at this. All these things coming to pass, including the abomination of desolation halfway into the 7-year tribulation period, the slaughter of Christians and Jews by the Antichrist, and the abominations that he performs. All those things will have taken place just over the halfway mark of the tribulation. So we're well within the time frame to have seen all those things as this generation. Not necessarily the end of the 7 years, but having seen all those things he mentioned. Then the only thing left is him returning in victory for the final time. Then you might say, but that would be at the end and therefore over the time limit. But now we jump to Matthew 24 verse 22. Time will be cut short. God will reduce the days. I firmly believe this is where this plays in. And except those days be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. Yeshua is going to shorten the time frame, that final week that the devil's got to play and destroy and cause chaos. That final week of refining in the fire of the remnant of Israel, he's going to cut short. Otherwise, the enemy will wipe everybody out. His plan is not, regardless of what they're saying, to come out with a perfect group of people that are his and doing what he says. No, he hates us. All of us. Christians, Satanists, Buddhists, Muslims, all of us. He hates us because he knows how God feels about us. He hates us all. And if he can wipe out all of mankind, then God's prophecy has failed and his plan has failed because he saved no one except the raptured saints. God won't allow that. God will shorten the time frame and make sure everything works out exactly the way it should. How much shorter? We will ask him when we arrive shortly post-rapture. We probably won't have to ask because we'll know. But yeah, let's talk about it when we get up there. Let's put a pin in that one till we arrive. Post-greeting family and loved ones when we get there and catching up with all of you. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I am making a point of responding to all of you as you do email. Thank you for the videos that have been coming in and send me things. I make a point of that, and I will always either like or respond to your comments as well on everything that you place, because you know what, it's one of my pet peeves. I've messaged and emailed other watchmen in the past year to ask things or to say things or to request if I can use something that they said, and going on 6 months or 3 months later, not a single reply, nothing. And that upsets me. It shouldn't, but my feeling as a watchman on the wall is, if you're in ministry and you're standing here and people are responding, it's your duty as a minister to respond back, to be praying for them, to be sharing with them, to be listening, to be there for them. So I'm trying as hard as I can. If I miss you with hours or days, it's because I'm running around like crazy, but I will respond and I will get back to your comments and your emails as soon as I can, because I'm here for you by God's grace. God has called me to this, and I will be doing this until I'm done. And because of that, I will do it to the best of my abilities and wholeheartedly. And together, we will run this final piece. God bless. Stay faithful. Hopefully we're out of here very, very soon. Pre-Passover. Nisan 1 works for me. But shortly, right now, would work too, any second. As soon as somebody figures out the trumpet. God bless. Have a great day. Shalom.